What's going on, y'all? What's happening? Woo! The piece I was working on last night, you know? Yeah. I'm always working on something, man. It's one of the beaches like you can just ride. Like you're riding a horse. Yeah. Uh-huh. Juju, what's going on? Quita Gal, what's happening? Cuba, Wayne, what's going on, y'all? Yeah, that's one of the new beats I'm currently working on for the pop-up. A lane for you. About to do some advertisements, start putting out some promo stuff. We're doing our pop-up soon, man. The pop-up shop is just about ready. Uh yeah. Welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I am your host, as always, Sabir Alim. Coco, El Carter, 317. Good morning. What's happening? Oh, yeah. As always, we got a great show today. Exiting with grace. Our relationship ends, many of them end with bitterness, enmity, hatred, disdain for others. And when it comes to ending relationships, especially when you have children involved, right? You need to get that together. You didn't start this relationship by yourself. You had a reason for why you wanted to be with this person. What was the reason? What were the reasons? Until we start holding ourselves accountable for our condition and our role in how these relationships always have to seem to end with bitterness, man. Right? We're going to keep having the same type of relationship because that means that our relationships start and end in a manner that is unnecessary. Because most times it should have never started in the beginning. So we're going to talk about that today on today's episode. Daddy's right here live. Exodus Great. You're listening to The Man's Bed, one of the singles on the album. Right up. Woo! Three words. What is Carrie, Ramira, Mikey, Total Pasta. That sounds like something. Total Pasta 3012. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Daddy's Radio Live. I'm your host, as always, Geraldine. And again, and as always, you know, I know what's popping, what's dropping. So if you haven't heard the album yet, just make sure you go ahead to your favorite music streaming platform and enter my name, Sabir Alim, and all of my music will come up. There's a story. Yeah. Every song is telling a story. I don't do that hit a nigga, kill a nigga, knock a nigga out kind of stuff. I don't do none of that. That ain't what this is about, right? That's the easy stuff, but it takes growth. Nigel, what's going on? Katie, it takes growth to get away from that rhetoric, that content, the culture of that behavior. Yeah. You can sit down all day long and talk about, oh, we buried the N word. Now it's the N word, but in our music, it's not the N word. It's just music, and that's all you hear. So at the end of the day, it's referenced even in your own scripture about niggardly behavior. Look it up. Look it up, right? Look it up. Research your own scripture and see where it's written, since everybody seems to be in this mode of questioning and challenging of scripture all of a sudden. But this is the culture of our environment. This is the culture of the world we live in. All of a sudden, there's a Muslim mayor of the city of New York being brandished in front of all Americans. See, when Donald Trump talks about fake news, everybody wants to cry conspiracy and all this other kind of stuff. But it's a reality. It's a reality. All of our social media feeds are flooded with fake news. Most, if not all, of what you and I have absorbed in this world at any level of media is part of the show. If you haven't come to understand that by now it's time. Right? This dude done ran for mayor. He didn't just show up out of nowhere. There was a campaign for him to win. Right? Hold on now. He ran a campaign to win the election to be mayor in the city of New York. Why is it we're only hearing about it now? I don't watch the news often. I watch it often enough just to catch up. Because we see all this stuff in our feed always using number 47. You don't know whether it's true or not. You really don't know what has been passed, what has been written. You don't know anything. It's designed to be that way. So when the real agenda pops up on you, excuse me, y'all. When the real agenda pops up on you, right? As usual, you'll be blindsided. Well, when did that happen? How did that happen? It's designed that way for you to never know what's happening. But back to this Muslim, right? This radicalized, this is what they say, he's a radicalized Muslim who has become or is becoming the new mayor for the city of New York. You've heard nothing about this dude, right, in the news. He ran the campaign. Nobody talked about the campaign. They're not showing us the campaign. Excuse me. They're not showing how he came to be in this position. Marie, what's going on? Clayton. None of this has been shown, but all of a sudden now you have all this hoopla about a Muslim American becoming mayor of one of the biggest cities in the country. Right? Why do you think that's so? I want you to look at that. Why do you think it's so? Right? And I'm not bringing this up as a Muslim. And a Muslim is one who submits to the will of God, plain and simple. Right? I chose about 4 years ago to abandon religion. That doesn't change the fact that I'm Muslim. Muslim merely means one who submits to the will of God. You can change it into anything you want to. And you can have any conversation about it you want to, you choose to. But from a divisive perspective, right, this is all part of an agenda. And if you look in your feed now, you're going to see conflicts and confrontations, right, regarding Islam. I'm just telling you about how the media works. Because whether this was about a Christian, whether this was about a Catholic, Jew, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you about what's happening in our feeds. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you how this works. How the media's intent, excuse me, is always about a narrative that some people just don't want to let go. They just don't want to let it go. So all of my feed now, I'm seeing all of these, excuse me, so-called scholarly, learned practicers of a religion. And they're just saying stupid things out of their mouths when they have no idea about Islam other than what they see in their feeds, because they don't have enough bravery or courage to pick up the book and read for themselves. I've read the Quran, the Torah, the Old Testament, the New Testament, the King James Version of the Bible, all of these books. Why? Because the Muslim believes in God, his books, all of his books, all of those attached to his messengers, right? His angels, and the afterlife. Those 5 things are significant to any religion. The angels protect us. Do you believe that as a person who's a believer in God? You believe in the messengers, right? Who were all the messengers that you profess to believe in? I just want to add clarity to this because there's so many unlearned people who are saying all of these different things when you're looking at practicers. You're not looking at the books themselves. So when a Muslim says he believes in God, he bears witness that we bear witness there's but one God worthy of worshiping. One God worthy of worshiping. The media has convinced you that Allah is a threat, that it's a different God. But you don't understand language. Allah means God. That's the word. The Arabic word is Allah. The Christians in the Middle East, in Islamic countries, refer to God as Allah. Did you know that? No, because you want to remain ignorant. You want to allow the media and others to continue to regurgitate stupidity, all in the name of divide. Go ask a Christian in any of these Islamic countries, predominantly Islamic countries. God is Allah. They speak the Arabic language. They say Allah. It's no spooky thing. It's nothing spooky about it. It's an Arabic word. It means God. Come on, people. We believe in his books. What books? I just mentioned books. There are many other books that have been written that were allegedly sent by, delivered to, expressed to a people, because the people were in need of such guidance, right? His messengers, they came, they brought their information, and it was clear, mankind's condition is clear, to do just what they did then today, still spreading chaos, right? But they came to bring information, and how were they treated, right? So, the messengers. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, y'all. Right? The angels. We all believe in angels, right? They all have their purpose. They all have duties. We all believe that, right? Now, what are you living for? That's the question. What are you living for? What's your purpose? See, this is where all the problems come in, and this is why we have the kind of rhetoric being spewed in our media. Because when you choose to be ignorant, when you choose not to do correct research, see, you can find something that supports your thinking. You can find it. The very things that are pointed out in this book, you can find in that book. The exact same things. The exact same things. But you don't want to do that. You want to stand by what somebody else told you. You want to stand by what minister so-and-so, pastor so-and-so that told you instead of looking for yourself. That's what you want to do. See, when you're a learned person, right? And then you begin to follow somebody else and you begin to listen to that other person and you begin to experience life yourself. All of these layers, right, come out of your mouth with content that is relevant, but mostly to you. I'm speaking to you from a person who studied, who learned, who asked questions, who researched, who kept things simple. I didn't associate other books to this. I didn't do all that stuff. But what I'm saying, you make a conscious decision to remain in the condition that you're in. It's important. It's important. It's important that you sit down and you learn. Excuse me. I don't know what got to me this morning. You know what? The dude just changed the air conditioning filter yesterday. So, jeez. So, what I'm saying to you is that this dude who just won, this Muslim dude who just won the election as the mayor of New York. They're making a whole to do about nothing. But here's the thing, man. You know how big New York City is? I want you to think about that for a minute. Right? All of these people put this person in office. Why is there such a stench being made about this at this point in time? You want to ask yourself that. I heard nothing about this guy in the electoral process. I heard nothing about his campaign, right? There was no stink being made about any of this because the focus was on everything else going on in New York, right? Policing, the other mayoral stuff that was going on, the administrative stuff, and all that other stuff, the smoke screen. See, that's the stuff you don't look for. When you desire to hate, that's what you look for. When you desire to be oppositional, that's what you look for. That's what you look for, right? So that's why this kind of stuff makes it to the media. Don't blame the media. Don't blame Donald Trump being in office, for the chaos and all the madness that goes on. It's what's been going on. Mankind's condition was that when Adam and Eve were told to get you down from here, they brought that condition to earth. Come on, people, let's think. 2025 is the year of make it make sense. If two people were removed from a place because of what he, the Most High, the Creator, knew would be a problem, why do you think he would tell them to get down from here? Why? Think on the smallest level. You know absolutely nothing about humanity. You know absolutely nothing about mankind, but you seem to know everything that's going on in this world. Everything is a lie. Everything is a lie. And I tell you why it's a lie. Because if we didn't experience it firsthand, it's something somebody else told us. It's something somebody else convinced us of. We allowed ourselves to be convinced of whatever it is that we believe. Until you get to the point in life when you begin to look at life from a perspective of humanity, of being a human being, of understanding your condition as a person, everything else is going to be just like this. And I'm making the point, not as a Muslim, a former practicer of the religion, right? I understand in all the books is guidance, plain and simple. I don't need to follow a particular religion to be part of the insanity that y'all choose to live in when practicing religion. It's political, it's commercial, right? Plain and simple. You get no argument from me. I don't have to sit down and defend anything. I don't have to. I don't have to do a back and forth with what you believe or what you don't believe. It's written for you to read for yourself. Now, you can continue spreading what somebody else told you, but at the end of the day, man's hand is in everything in this world. Because man is in this world. That's not going to change. You can try to spit out some religious stuff all day long if you choose to. It doesn't matter. Understand your humanity first. First. You keep having all these conversations and able to reference, scripture, very ayah, portions of this book and portions of that book, right? But how much have you really studied? Right? How many scripture throughout that entire book, excuse me, have you heard regurgitated? How is a book that is books that are so famous, that are so well known to so many of us, but yet we don't know the book? Why is that? Why is it we can all ride around and we can see John 3:16? Everybody puts John 3:16. Everybody's riding with the same ones. When you look at merchandise that's commercial merchandise that's being sold, you see most of the same ones. How many books are there? How many chapters are in the Bible that you profess to know? We keep hearing all these things about, Jesus this and Jesus that, and the Muslims don't believe in Jesus. Be quiet. You should be quiet. There's more about Jesus in the Quran than any book. There's an entire surah on his mother. You should be quiet. If you don't know, go look for yourself. You got Muslims who are scared to pick up a Bible. But in the same breath, this is one of the pillars of Islam that we believe as Muslims in his books. We know man had his hand in it and he did things befitting for himself and all this other kind of stuff. That's not the important part. What is important is that you're regurgitating what somebody else says, but you stand on these 5 pillars. They're 5 pillars of Islam. God, his books, his angels, his messengers, and the afterlife. Anything else that you add on came from somebody else. What are his books? Did you even ask the question? What are his books? No, because it's easier to dismiss the Testaments, the Old Testament, the New Testaments. It's written. So you're doing this to yourself. But it's about accountability. You don't want to be accountable to yourself. Do you realize that in the end, as you came, you will go alone? Just you. Just you. Little boo-boo, Aunt Mary, Mr. John, they won't be standing next to you saying, yeah, God, I can attest to what he did. No, that's already been taken care of. There's an angel to your left and your right. One documents, scribes your good deeds, and the other documents, scribes your bad deeds. Right? Plain and simple. You can't continue to live a productive life. And I'm talking about productivity not based on man's expectations for productivity in this world, for them to benefit, capitalize off of you. I'm talking about the purpose. Your purpose as a human being. Your purpose as a human being. See, many of you sitting there saying, well, no, well, he Muslim, his name is Sabir, you know what I'm saying? I didn't defend anything. What I made clear to you is there's someone who has been voted into an office of leadership within one of the major cities in the United States of America. And all of a sudden, this is news. All of a sudden, his background is relevant. But none of this was relevant when he was already in an office prior to all this. This dude didn't just show up. This dude has been involved in the political arena. You've heard nothing about him. Why now? Why now? See, you have to understand. No, you don't have to. But you should understand. All these little protests you seeing around, people running around with these flags, where do they get all these damn flags from all of a sudden? Who's shipping this stuff in? How did you get thousands of flags from another country, from other countries here? First and foremost, ain't nobody checked that? Didn't it come through customs? Well, I know the last damn time I ordered some merchandise for Lean for You, it said shipped from China. It said made in China. I tracked it from China. It went through customs. So nobody saw these thousands of flags. Thousands of flags coming into the United States. Nobody saw this. Nobody knows anything about it. You won't hear about them people. Why not? It's all organized. This is organized. Ain't none of this stuff just happened, man. It's organized. Most Americans, we just want to be left the hell alone and live our lives. We don't have time for all of this stuff. Don't feed into this stuff, man. Listen to what I'm saying. No matter who's in office, at whatever government level, no matter what they change, your duty to yourself remains the same. Your duty to yourself remains the same. Be responsible to yourself. Take care of your family. You think me getting upset, ranting and raving about the price of eggs is going to change that? No. You think seeing a $4 candy bar in the store is going to change my mind about life? No. Gas prices up? No. That's not going to change the agenda. My agenda is to live and enjoy life as it is. My life entails death. I'm not afraid of dying. Death is life. We keep wanting to make, excuse me, we keep wanting to make death a separate event. Death is not a separate event. Death is life. What are you living for? What are you living for? That's what you have to ask yourself. What are you living for? What is your purpose? You don't need religion to tell you what your purpose is. It's innate. It's already scripted. All you have to do is just follow the plan. Stay out of your way. And stop allowing other things to get in your way. The people who come up with all this stuff that they do, man, they're sick people. It's sick people who just sit around and do the things that they do, man. Get out of the mouth of madness. Let them go ahead with their sickness. But you focus on solidifying a foundation within your spirit to live a life that you were meant to live. Just don't feed into it. You can't. It'll kill you. And that's what it's doing to many of us. So you say, well, Sabir, well, what does that have to do with you said that this was about Exiting with grace. What does that have to do with it? Anything? I don't like, y'all should know by now when you watch this show that I'm going somewhere all the time. Maya Ransky, what's happening? Thanks for joining in this morning. You need to understand that. You need to understand that I'm always going somewhere. See, that's the whole thing about scripture, and this is what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. It's one thing to say that I profess this religion, I profess that religion, and so on and so forth, and it's only an intellectual commitment. You haven't made a spiritual commitment. You can't, because if you don't know you, if you don't know who you are, if you are acting without purpose, you are only layering on to a mess, right? Something you think others will respect you for being. Others will respect you for practicing. You don't get no kudos for becoming saved, for taking your shahada, for your the mitzvah. You don't you that those are dogmatic practices. They're tradition. They're formal. That's all that stuff is. It's an act. That's like a Muslim putting on a kufi, wearing the izar, a jalabir, and calling himself Muslim. That's costume. It's costume. It's customary. It's traditional. This is what we do. Right? It's culture. It's race. It's all of the things that people keep acting like don't exist. Right? So when you look at, first of all, exiting a relationship gracefully, you have to first understand who you are and what your actions are when entering into this relationship. Who is entering this relationship? Are you entering this relationship consciously? If you are, what about the subconscious and the unconscious aspect of self? They're functioning at the same time. Your subconscious, your unconscious, and your so-called conscious. We're not saying conscience. Conscience is different, right? But all of these are operating simultaneously. See, we enter into relationships unconsciously based on an internal need, something that we need. But there's something, the need of that thing came from events, antecedents, we call them in cognitive behavior treatment. There are events that take place that the human being, the whole makeup of the brain knows how to send signals to different parts of the body to protect the mind from things that are so traumatic that is suppressed automatically from us, protecting us from losing our damn minds. You understand? So when you enter into a relationship with somebody, especially when you look at what it is we're exposed to every day in this life, and how we are meticulously, methodically being driven insane from everything that we put into our souls, everything we put into our spirit, everything we put into our mind, our mouth, everything that we take in compromises our existence. Everything is killing us. We don't belong here. Everything is killing us. And when I say we don't belong here, I'm talking about in a place that's not necessarily a physical place. We're forced into a condition. You won't be unscathed from any of this. You won't be. You can't escape this life unscathed of man's arrogance, of man's self-righteousness, of man's violent tendencies. See, we already have fight or flight. What happens is this in our society, and again, it's done methodically. You begin to experience levels of stress that nobody can escape. That's why we have so many sicknesses. See, when your spirit is broken down, when your mind is warped, when you're constantly eating stuff and breathing in stuff that's destroying you, right? Unbeknownst to you, thinking that you're being so healthy, it's impossible. It's impossible. I'm 64. I'll be 65 in a couple of months. Most people say, damn, you look, And I say to myself, damn, yeah, I do. But and the reality of it is, it's by God's grace and mercy, first and foremost, that I've reached 64. Does that have anything to do with me acting and living on purpose? Because what actually happened for me is I was heading down the path which I envisioned for some level of greatness, distorted mind, warped thinking, and then I got tired of it and I turned that corner to trying to the best of my ability to live a righteous life. That's the key part. Trying to the best of your ability to live a righteous life. You understand? Lucy, what's happening? Riley, you understand what I'm saying to you? So when you're living life, right, you're absorbing all of these things from the media, the food, the water, our air, all of these things over and over again, right? And then you're entering into a relationship. You have so much just laying on you all the time. Living life on its terms, another one of those layers. Having children, another layers. Failed relationships, another layer, another layer, another layer. You got all these layers on, man. It's like you're being back in the womb again. The difference with the womb is that you were directly connected with the mother, right? But don't forget about the spark of life. But the spark of life began the process of death, right? There's life and then there's death. When does death come? How does it come? Do you think you're going to know when it comes? Do you think you'll remember your death? Why then do you fear it? When it's part of life, right? It's part of life. So when we talk about relationships with other people, you have to understand that everybody has stuff. Everybody processes their stuff differently. It could be the very same event. We're going to process it differently. If I'm in a relationship with someone who doesn't have a foundation of living grounded in the belief that there's something greater than themselves, worthy of being worshiped because of what gift I've gotten for that moment, to be above ground, to be able to make some kind of contribution to humanity. A charitable donation goes to an entity, right? You go in your pocket, you go in your bank account, and you send this entity money in hopes of some outcome that man promised you he would bring to fruition. But you're only keeping that entity in existence. You're only keeping those people working. Do you really see the purpose? Do you really understand the purpose? Do they let you come transparently to the functions that they give you these numbers for, to say that their success in what it is they profess to do? But how much of your life do you see progressing? How productive do you see your relations with other people? Why are you in relationships with people? All right, you go to work. That's a relationship. You go to school. That's a relationship, right? BWC, what's going on? Lucy, what's happening? Right? These are all relationships. Each one of these relationships affects you differently. You're willing to put in anything into the job. You rant and rave and cuss the boss out and all that at random and think you should still have a job. You work for me, you cuss me out. Listen, that's a problem. Because you don't need to cuss me out. You can have a conversation with me. And I present myself in that manner. Like, that's not going to happen that way. That's not how we're going to talk to each other. We're going to resolve this. But if you think that you're going to just, nah, I don't care who you are. I'm not a disrespectful person. But when you deal with a disrespectful person, you have to be respectful of their disrespect in order to be able to make changes within that relationship. You have to accept that that person's angry for a reason. Why are they so angry about this? I don't know. Well, let me come to find out. Why are they so angry? You know, all this stuff going on in the world. I just talked about the stuff going on in our world. I didn't even have a conversation yet about you and me, her and him. I didn't even have that conversation yet. And how stressed were you in listening to that? Think about it. Hearing my words, hearing the words of the media that you just watched, or seeing it, the print go across your mind, you know, because we can read in our mind, right? If you look at my video for my first song that I released, Sewing Made Easy, and look at the video, you'll see I have the image in the head, I have the TV in front of the person, right? And all these things are already in the mind. You have all of these things combined and the layers of your events, antecedents, things that took place, your trauma, right? All those things layered, yeah, become the person. And then when you have a person like me who asks questions, who challenges things respectfully, like, well, okay, so help me to understand that. And then 30 years as a clinician, you know, interviewing people, because any session is always an interview. I'm getting to know that person. Right. And in that session, it's that person is telling me about them. I'm telling them about varied skills they can use to make changes in those areas for a better way of living. Right. To the article, Psychology Today, Bruce Y. Lee, MD, MBA, is the writer of this article. The article is on 12 ways to exit a relationship gracefully. 12 things to do and 5 not to do when a relationship is ending. Right? Key points. Fulfill any open obligations and promises. Don't leave the other person in a tough, vulnerable position. Don't keep blaming the other person. Admit your mistakes. Don't make it all about you. Show compassion. Right? So what it says here is that it's easy to behave well at the start of a relationship, whether you're personal or professional, when everything seems like lollipops and unicorns. The real measure of you as a person, though, is how you behave when leaving the relationship. As the saying goes, how you exit is more important than how you enter. Exiting a relationship is rarely pretty, making it tempting to take the easy and selfish way out and not care about how the other person feels. However, there are 5 big reasons why you should make the extra effort to end a relationship gracefully and respectfully. I remember a few years back, my brother had made a remark to me and asked me, like, yo, how do you, still have these types of relationships with your exes? Like I just, like, for him, it's a matter of like, excuse me, like he really hates his ex. Like, I don't understand it. You know, I don't understand it. And it's not for me to try to understand. It's something that he has to, to deal with. There's a reason. For me, in response to the question, is much like what's here in this article. You know, I did everything that I thought I needed to do for the success of this relationship. Anything that I was failing to do in the relationship that the other person felt they needed was seldom expressed. I always felt like I was the one leading, I was the one putting in all the work, I was the one doing all these things. Things come up, the response, the reaction, the all too familiar reaction of, well, you're the problem, not me. You're the one who's always talking about it, not me. That's an issue for you, not me. And then after some years of, hoping, trying to love it away, trying to sex it away, trying to gift it away, trying to vacation it away, trying to do all these things to remove that stain. It wasn't what the other person wanted. Even in my last marriage prior to this one, right? We had the conversation with the imam. We had the counseling session with the pastor. The conversation, even before getting there, was had that I'm going to retire in Florida. That was my 5 year plan. I achieved it in 3 years, but that was my 5 year plan. I was no longer going to live, in Philly. I didn't want to live in Philly anymore. I wanted to live in the Sunshine State. I wanted to live by beaches. I wanted to live where it wasn't all this cold weather, all the cold weather going on. I didn't want to. I didn't want to live there anymore. I made that plan. I put it into action. I started doing all the preparation necessary, getting my credentials, you know, um, taken care of in this state first, and then so it was ready when I moved down there, so I didn't have to go and learn what reciprocation was, learned what was available, and God did the rest. I went and looked for a job while I was on my honeymoon, took a suit, copies of my resume, my laptop, had an interview, had to drive several hours And Miss Red from the recently released album Ride Up, Eight Cups, Five Dancers, created that. There, 1970. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. Who else we got here? Invite Republican Depot. What's happening, Republican Depot? Maya. Who else we have here? ALM, thank you for liking the live. Thank you for the like. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, the title of this song is Miss Red from my recently released album. Make sure you go to aleemforyou.net. Check out our merchandise. Pop-up store coming August. Make sure you check out all of our merchandise. This is one of this is our logo. No, that's not never, never been. Of your Kit Sand Dip 2024. Gypsy Nick. What's happening? Is it Johnny Tobias? What's going on? What's up there? Right, all right. Robert Parker, Jay High, Joey Porter, Roscoe. Thank you all so much for tuning in. you know, this is a 12 minute and 60 second long cut. Yeah. Most of these cuts on here are more than, I think, one is 7 minutes. Yeah. This album is titled Line Up for a variety of reasons, but especially for the reason the line dance enthusiasts, choreographers, the beat creator was specifically for a nice little dance flow, all ladies. Yeah. That, that, uh, see what y'all think. Hey, listen, if you pick this album up, do a line dance, do it. Please, 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 please let me see. Yeah, I'm trying to get my team together so I can go ahead and do these videos, videos, and songs with this album, with the intent on getting at least one to two line dance. Y'all hang in there. Tell you gotta see what is happening. Like you can't put yourself in a position and then wait for somebody else to decide and engage you. Right? All of my songs have a story. You know, from beginning to end. It's a story, not just a random stuff thrown out. Every song is a story. Every song is a story. You gotta listen to the story. See what y'all think. See what y'all think. You know, and I just released this album about 2 weeks ago, man. And already I'm ready to jump back on the mic and do another song. I got a couple of remakes. I mean, I started in 2021. Listen to the music then. Not just beats, but content in terms of the mixing, the mastering of the beats, and the vocal. Great things, a lot of growth. It was never my intention, man, to go into this, but being around music for so many years, so let me go ahead and, act on something my brother said I wrote a poem, and he said, right, it's like a song. And that was September, October 2021, and I wrote the song. All my music is written, produced, mixed, mastered, whatever, done by me. Just your kid, just good music. I love just your kid, your independent artist, put your music out there. I'm just trying to make it just one. They said, well, if you put one thing out there and everybody gravitates toward it, everything will become like action, like sure you go to lean.net. You can see the other side of this. I'm multifaceted, man. Human beings multifaceted. You'll be able to see the so many works there. Go to my Spirit League Education where you can also see the recorded videos of other shows, previous recorded shows of other things. Yeah, check that out. Let's see what God in the end is purpose. Not purpose. Stop giving people your energy. You don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, as always, Burleen. Peace, peace, peace.